I joined the army in the end of about the middle of December 1942, or 1941 that would be, and I was grafted to a signals training unit at Tamworth, where we're about 3 or 4 months training there when things got really bad in the Pacific War, and we were hurried through. We were then given a rifle and bayonet and so forth, and with the wireless on our back, and we were sent to Caloundra, which was a very testing course for fitness, which we did, and then we went straight to New Guinea. When arriving in New Guinea, I was drafted into a section called 3 Light Wireless Section, and we were an independent wireless section because New Guinea, the geography of New Guinea is very, very hard because of the inaccessibility, and the only option for communication with frontline units was wire, with a line. And of course these were constantly being broken and cut by the enemy, and wireless then became a very essential part of communications, particularly light wireless. It was our job to ensure that a message got from A to B, whether it be mostly in Morse code, but sometimes too in what they call RTOC, which was radio telegraphy, which is voice, but that was the only means of communication. The other thing I think that was peculiar to New Guinea was the fact that the Japanese had entrenched themselves along the coast of New Guinea at crucial points, and it was necessary for our forces to have some idea of what was happening. So they instituted a unit called the Spotters, and the Spotters was under the auspices of the New Guinea Air Warning Wireless Section, and we were then allocated to various parts of the where they thought was a suitable observation post to observe troop, land and sea movements and report straight back. And they were reported to a central point, and the central point then got straight in touch with the Air Force and the Navy and the necessary of the Army, whichever the movement pertained to. And that worked very, very well. These fellows, they did a colossal job, the Spotters. A lot of them lost their lives too. But then I was sent down to Milne Bay, and I was sent down to a spotter station right out near the Coron Sea for a while. But then I was seconded then to the 18th Infantry Brigade, which was charged along with other units, militia units, to the defence of Milne Bay during the invasion, which at the conclusion of which we moved around through to, we pulled up at a place called Goodenough Island for a while with the 12th Battalion to make sure that it was secure for Japanese, and we moved around and we landed at Buna. I was just outside Buna, and I was sent to a place called Dobodura, which was close handy, and Poppondetta. I was also had a radio station there, which was used as a communication area. And we were also sent to a place called Tufi, which was the American PT boat base. And PT boats, of course, were very essential because the Japanese barges moving up along the coast, and they did a lot of good work there. And the liaison between the PT boats, the PT boats, and the Australian Army was very essential because they had to know what each other were doing. So we did that for a while, and then I sent back then to Port Moresby. I was on to a big wireless station there, and we were working back to Australia on heavy stuff. After about 27 months of all this going on and so forth, we were sent back to Australia. Well, what we used to do, of course, the bombing positions needed would be sent to us, and we would flash it back to the Air Force headquarters with map references and so forth, and the request for air support in the various places, particularly in Buna, Gunner and Salamander. It was very difficult for them because there was no features there. It was all the fixed defences, and they're all covered over with jungle and so forth. So a lot of difficulties there, but we're working there with the Beaufighters. But we worked very extensively at Milne Bay with the fighters, the Kittyhawks, like Truscott and Turnbull and all that mob. And we used to then, the information would come back for us, there'd be so many American, Japanese bombers or fighters heading towards Milne Bay, and they'd be up in the air by the time they got there, see, and they'd be there to meet them. And we had a lot to do with that for the time we were at Milne Bay, actually. A Beaufighter was a major, you didn't know it, they used to call them Whispering Death. And I was at Poppondetta at the time, during the Buna campaign, and all of a sudden we heard the explosions, and because they had big cannons in front and all that sort of thing, and they were the Beaufighters were actually attacking, but until we saw it, we didn't hear them. They just come in, they're amazing. And they did a tremendous job. They came in, but of course they were restricted a bit with it was very bad weather in that part of for flying and that sort of thing, and with no features and no visual targets. I mean, it was very difficult. And they used to be throwing sort of varied things over to give them an idea where these pillboxes were. But they did a great job where they got the opportunity, but they had a lot of disappointing attacks because they couldn't identify targets.